Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
Honey in the morning, honey in the evening, honey at supper time. John Peterson is going to join us and talk about bees and honey, Paul.
Yeah, I was just really impressed with this interview. I think people are really going to enjoy it. I learned a lot about bees that I had no idea about. The number of bees they turn over in the colony, just all sorts of really great information about bees.
It is amazing, 50,000 bees in one colony.
Yeah, per colony, right. Honeybees, of course, the good kind, which we want, the big pollinators of the world. So, yeah, great to have him on the episode.
And we're also talking to Chet Gardner. We'll talk about his time in the service and his time in Lincoln City. And then Charlotte Lehto is going to be on board because there are some changes in Medicare insurance. And people, seniors, you need to hear what Charlotte's got to say because it is for your own benefit. We'll do that and more right after this.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lehto with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
Bob's Beach Books in the Ocean Lake area of Lincoln City does in fact have what you'll want to read. I'm Diana Portwood, and if we happen to be out of a particular bestseller, in a day or two we'll have it back in the store waiting for you. Bob's Beach Books, so you can join the conversation.
Honey in the morning, honey in the evening, honey at supper time. With me is John Peterson, and you are the keeper of the bees in the area, right, John?
I'm sure that there are quite a few beekeepers in Lincoln County, but yes, I happen to be one of them in the area.
How did you get into that?
About 6 years ago, when I was getting ready to retire from my job at the time, one of my partners suggested I needed to come up with a useful hobby and suggested that I consider raising honeybees, fill the time, helped me get started with ordering up some honeybees and getting the appropriate equipment, and the rest has just continued to grow from that.
When you talk about equipment, what kind of equipment are you talking about, John?
Basically, you have to have boxes to provide the hives or a home where the bees are going to live and be able to store the pollen and nectar that they collect to keep themselves alive. And so you've got boxes that have frames in them, and the frames are where the bees will create the wax cells, and then in the wax cells they store pollen and honey, and that's where the baby bees are raised and then grow from that.
Now, talking about baby bees, before we went on with the interview, you were talking about the number of babies the queen bee will lay each day.
Mated queen will typically lay between 1,000 and 1,500 eggs every day.
That's phenomenal.
Extremely phenomenal, and the fact is that the honeybee has a life of approximately 45 days, so there's a constant turnover in the population of the hive. So once the queen has been mated, her sole job is just laying eggs that tend to grow out into new bees.
Okay, now that we're coming into the fall, the winter is not far behind. What do you do with the beehives and the bees in the wintertime?
Typically into the fall, what will happen is the population will diminish from its summertime high of around 50,000 bees in each beehive. The queen will start producing fewer eggs, and the bees will concentrate on making sure that they have enough pollen and honey stored up to get them through the winter. As a beekeeper, part of my responsibility is to make sure that if there's medications necessary to keep them healthy, to avoid any diseases, that they're provided with that. And also, beekeepers typically will provide supplemental syrup feedings to the bees until they go into their state of hibernation for the winter months, which around here typically begins to occur around the beginning of November.
So when they go into hibernation, are they totally gone for the winter?
Not at all. They will reside inside the hive. The population will diminish to somewhere between 8,000 or 9,000 bees and the queen, and they will work at maintaining a core temperature of around 90 to 95 degrees inside the hive, and just continue to keep themselves fed off the food and pollen stores that they have accumulated, and get them through the rainy season that we have here on the Oregon coast, and take turns going out and helping themselves to their stores of pollen and honey and bring it back and feed the queen and make sure that the hive continues.
Talk a little bit about harvesting the honey out of the hives. That's got to be a trick to itself.
A beekeeper will work with his bees to make sure that, first of all, that they have stored up enough of their own supply of pollen and honey to get them through the year. And typically that will be approximately 60 pounds, again, a combination of honey and pollen. Once the beekeeper is assured that the bees have enough of their own supplies, then the beekeeper can put on an extra box with frames, and those empty frames then are what the bees will begin just storing honey. And that's the honey then, the surplus honey, that the beekeeper can go ahead and help themselves to without the detriment of the hives. Each of the frames that's inside of one of those boxes has about 3,500 cells on it. And the wax cells are where the bees will store nectar, which then it converted to honey. And then the beekeeper takes each one of those frames and will open up the wax cappings that the bees have placed over each of the cells and extract the honey. And typically you use a centrifuge type device, an extractor, which spins out the liquid honey. Liquid honey then is filtered out. And once it's filtered out, then the beekeeper can go ahead and jar it or store it and
or bring it to your favorite podcaster.
Absolutely. You never want to forget those podcasters.
I would have to think probably the biggest detriment to the bee population, which is absolutely necessary for human life to even continue because of food, would be the herbicides, the pesticides, the fungicides, and all of the garbage that people will dump onto their lawn and gardens and roads and whatever, right?
Those have all been problems that have plagued beekeepers for quite some time, especially I'll say in the last 10 to 15 years. And so beekeepers are constantly trying to make sure that where they've located their hives are going to be areas that are not going to be where pesticides or herbicides are used. So they monitor for those sorts of things, and also just try to have a variety of bees that are going to be genetically strong enough to combat any of the side effects from any of those chemicals that are, part of what we use on a regular basis.
Beekeeper extraordinaire, John Peterson. Back in a moment.
In Oregon, there are 30 state senators, and we are lucky to have Senator Dick Anderson on the coast standing up for our voices in Salem. Senator Anderson has been called the most effective senator in Salem. He has passed landmark housing and homeless legislation, funded police, criminalized hard drugs again, stood up for local school boards, and has sent over $100 million in investments back to coastal communities for housing, mental health, health care, and infrastructure investments. Being effective only matters if it works. This is why he has been endorsed by nearly every mayor in his district. Senator Anderson is local. He understands how the small, rural communities struggle to keep law enforcement and fire funded, attract jobs, and build more housing. There is more work to be done. This is why Senator Anderson is running for re-election, asking for your vote. Please go to senatoranderson.com and volunteer a yard sign location. Volunteer or even donate. Senator Dick Anderson. Leadership that works. Paid for by Anderson for Oregon. PAC number 20255.
Chet and Barbara Gardner have lived in and around Lincoln City for how many years, Chet?
For 51 years now, I think.
You're one of those guys who moved out here and never made enough money to leave, so you stayed here, right?
Right. But our house was originally used just for a beach cabin. And so I was coming down here. My dad had the cabin built somewhere around 1931. So I've been coming down here all my life.
1931, it seems like an eternity.
Yes, it does. Since I was only born in 1937, so.
So all of your memories are really of Lincoln City, Depot Bay.
Yes.
Now, Barb, your wife, was a school teacher in Lincoln County school system?
No, she was, she was here, yes. And then she had prior experience also.
And she was an elementary school teacher, correct?
Yes.
Now, you were involved in business in the area. I can think of a couple of different instances. You were a skipper of a charter boat in Depot Bay, right?
Yes. Yes, and my dad before me. My dad was a skipper of a charter boat in Depot Bay, the Jimco, in about 1955, I think. Excuse me, it's earlier than that. Be 1951 to about 55.
That's a long time ago.
Right, that's a long time ago.
Tell me about being a skipper on a Jimco. Now, that would have been under Freddie and Bev Robinson, right?
Originally, it was with sea trawlers in the early days. And then when I purchased the boat back from Fred Robinson, then that started a new era.
Tell me about being a skipper of a fishing boat in Depot Bay.
Well, one of the things about it, when you're licensed for over 6 people, you have to have a special Coast Guard license, ocean operator's license, and that is more involved in the prior learning in that.
Did you land salmon every time you went out?
I can't say every time, no, but I was a good fisherman.
What makes a good fisherman in the ocean in Depot Bay?
Well, a good fisherman is consistent in their catches, and not every time you can be that lucky to do that.
And again, now you had the fishing boat in Depot Bay for a number of years, and then you had a coin shop in Lincoln City.
That's correct. I had the coin shop and the boat at the same time. So generally the shop would be closed in the fishing season.
So literally, when you'd hang out the sign, "Gone Fishing," you'd gone fishing.
That's right.
Tell me about the coin shop.
I just specialize mainly in U.S. coins and gold and silver.
The coin shop you had then became a jewelry store, I believe.
No, it was a jewelry store before it was a coin shop. Yes.
And then you ran the coin shop for how long?
A little over 20 years.
You are actively involved in the American Legion Post here in Lincoln City. Why?
Well, I'm a patriotic citizen.
That's about as good an answer as I think I've ever heard. Yeah, that speaks volumes, Chet.
And that's where I stand. I'm a true American. I've stood up for that in the USNR, and I retired a captain in the United States Navy Reserve.
A full captain?
Yes.
Now, that would be equivalent in the Army to a colonel, right?
6. Yes.
Again, your service in the service is something you're quite proud of.
Yes. 3 years and 4 months, and then I went to the reserve program after that.
And being a skipper of a fishing boat in Depot Bay, it's every time the Fleet of Flowers sails, you've got to choke up a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, normally I go down for that. Since my dad also was a charter boat skipper.
What a history you and Barb have in this community.
Yes. When we first had the house before my wife, we were the third house on the west side on the hill there.
The train is right on time. Grand Funk Railroad, the American Band. Saturday, November 9th, Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at ChinookWinds.com, Chinook Winds box office, or by phone at 1-888-MAIN ACT. Grand Funk Railroad, Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries.
We may be young, but we are experienced. Hi, Adina Zeller here, and Zeller's restaurants are now a year old, but the experience in preparing and serving food goes way back generations. Zeller's Lincoln City and Rose Lodge. Come on in.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service. Talking with Charlotte Lehto. Charlotte is the Farmers Insurance Agent Extraordinaire in Lincoln City, but more importantly, and more to the need of the community right now, is Medicare insurance.
Absolutely. You bet. The Medicare annual enrollment period is kicking off, and it ends the 7th of December. And so this upcoming year, we have some really significant changes that are happening in the Medicare world, things y'all need to be aware of.
Okay, you also got some new companies coming into Lincoln County, correct?
We do. That is correct. So Devoted Health is a Medicare Advantage plan carrier, and Devoted Health is now going to be offering a Medicare Advantage plan in Lincoln County. So you might recall a couple years back in 2023, we had Moda Health and we had Regents Blue Cross and Samaritan. Well, Moda Health and Regents Blue Cross bailed, leaving only Samaritan health plans. Don't get me wrong, Samaritan is a great plan, but we also have a new contender in the ring, and that is Devoted Health.
And with the Devoted Health coming in, what's the difference? What does it make that big a difference?
You know, it does make a big difference, I think. I think it's important to take a look at both types of plans because they both have different benefits and they're going to fit different needs for different people. So, you know, this is all about choice and it's a cost-benefit analysis. Samaritan has 2 well-priced plans. One plan is $29 a month. One is $138. Devoted Health has 2 plans which have a 0 premium. One has Medicare Part B give back, which means it's going to return some of your Part B premium back to you as one of their plans. And so that's an incentive as well. And then they also have another plan that I believe it's $16.80 a month.
No, you said at the top of the interview up here at Senior Fair is that there are lots of changes. Changes like what?
There are changes. So I think the most sweeping change that we're looking at is the change to the Medicare prescription drug rules. So for many, many years, we had something called the donut hole or the prescription drug gap. So individuals that use a lot of expensive medications, they generally fall into that drug gap. And so this last year, the drug gap, you stopped paying for your medications when you reached $8,000 out of pocket. Well, Roger, that's a heck of a lot of money for somebody to spend. That's just a huge amount of money. For 2025, that prescription drug gap is collapsing. Well, there's not going to be a prescription drug gap, but the most you'll have to pay out of pocket for your medications is $2,000. That is absolutely huge. So take someone that is using a medication like Ozempic, for example, or Xarelto or Eliquis, very expensive medications. The most they'll have to pay next year, $2,000 for those medications. That's huge.
So where does the money come from to pay the difference?
The money to pay the difference is actually going to come from the drug plans. So that's the word with the bark off of it. And of course, Medicare. There's reimbursements from Medicare as well. But I think the bottom line is that for individuals that are on Medicare and living on a fixed income, this is a significant change. This means the difference to many people being able to choose between paying their rent, putting gas in their car, or paying for their medications.
Huge difference.
Huge, absolutely huge difference. And in addition to that, Another thing that's coming into play is every Medicare drug plan, every Medicare Advantage plan is required now to allow you to finance the cost of your medications. So let's say you go to Rite Aid to pick up a medication and you can't afford it because of the copay. Health insurance carriers, drug plans, Medicare Advantage carriers are required now to allow you to finance that premium over the entire year, right? And so the drug plans and the Medicare Advantage plan carriers, they're going to be the ones that are allowing that financing to occur.
So now with all of these new features coming in with all of these different drug companies, or not drug companies, but insurance companies, what do I do? Do I have to come in and sit down and we go over the plans again? What happened?
Yeah, we certainly can do that. The other thing I offer my clients is go ahead and send me an email. I'm happy to go ahead and do an analysis for you over via email. All I need are the names of your medications, the dosages you take, the frequency you take them, how you fill, and the pharmacy you use. Send me an email. I'll go ahead and do the analysis for you and send the results to you. It's just that simple. Or we can always do a face-to-face visit.
I would have to think that there are a number of people like myself that have no knowledge of how this all works.
Right, exactly. And I think that's one of the advantages of working face-to-face with an agent or having a local agent that can step in and guide you through all of these sweeping changes because they are incredibly significant to our senior population.
I know in several instances, I have said to Charlotte Lehto, eat, sleeps, in everything else, Medicare insurance.
Absolutely. I'm a Medicare and a health insurance geek. I absolutely love the industry. I love what it does for our community. I love the fact that we have the ability to purchase really good health insurance plans at a lower cost. But I think, again, the caveat is develop a relationship with an agent that you trust. I have many clients that come back to me year after year, and I absolutely love it because it's a cost-benefit analysis, and we need to guide them to the right solution.
And again, we are up at the Senior Fair. I'm with Charlotte. Is there anything else that I should have on the table today to fully understand the changes for this year?
You know, just know that one of the big changes is that because of the changes to the prescription drug laws, the rules, many Medicare prescription drug plans, standalone plans, are going to be taking some sweeping rate increases. One plan in particular, called the Aetna Smart Saver Plan, went from $3.30 a month up to $35 a month. Now, that's a drug plan. That's a quadruple increase in the premium. And so please, when you get those annual notices of change from your drug plan carrier, open them up. You want to make sure that you're not going to get gouged after the Medicare annual enrollment period ends on the 7th of December. So if you need to make a change, you have from the 15th of October to the 7th of December, but only that period of time to change. You don't want to get locked into a high price premium in 2025.
We at La Roca are proud of our food, but don't take our word for it. Read the reviews. One person wrote, "The service was friendly and efficient." Another writes, "La Roca has become one of our favorites because it's authentic Mexican food."
And again, our thanks to John Peterson, Charlotte Lehto, and Chet Gardner for joining us on the Double R Show. I keep going back to the interview with John. I know it came as a bit of a surprise to both of us how interesting that program really was.
Yeah, and there are other beekeepers in the community too. And so just a really cool hobby and something that contributes, frankly, to your food supply and to, all sorts of things out here on the Oregon coast. So,
and again, I draw your attention to the fact that stay away from the herbicides, fungicides, pesticides that kill off the bee population.
Absolutely.
Please,
thank you for that. Yeah.
Please. Angels Anonymous Festival of the Trees coming up on December the 7th. The event will actually open up on December the 4th, a very special day.
What happens on December the 4th again?
The opening of the Festival of the Trees.
And a birthday.
It is the 24th annual Festival of the Trees, but the celebration is the 25th anniversary of Angels Anonymous. So
right, yeah.
The tree celebration is 1 year behind, if you will, the actual formation of Angels Anonymous. But Hot Lava Polynesian Entertainment's going to be here in Lincoln City. It is a complete luau. from the entertainment to the food. It is going to be exciting. It will be fun. Tickets are $125 each. But again, remember, the reason that we're doing this is to raise money so we can continue to help people with immediate and basic needs.
And it's a lot cheaper than flying to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Not that we don't want to fly to Hawaii on you could always check out Always Traveling. They could get you to Hawaii too,
there's
right?
that.
Yeah.
And speaking of Always Traveling, we have a cruise party coming up. This is sponsored by the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce, but Dr. Estelle Harlan will lead a discussion on board the cruise ship on life and career transitions. Learn while having fun, earn money for the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce. The sailing date is April 22nd through the 26th. 4 fun-filled days and 3 nights from Vancouver, BC, round trip. Ports of call include Seattle and Victoria. Inside cabin per person, $647. Ocean view, $764. Balcony, $964. And a suite at $1,364. And part of the proceeds from that money goes right to supporting the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce. So get a hold of me and get on board the cruise party. Registrations will soon close on that event. Anything else your side of the table?
Yeah, just one other event, December 14th, coming up here after a bit now still, but you can get your tickets for the Gyotaku Winter Workshop that the Cascade Head Bicer Collaborative putting on again. This is a great opportunity to celebrate the season, and maybe you're making gift paper or you're making presents for folks, and you're learning this great art form of Gyotaku. It's going to be again, Saturday, December 14th at the Pelican Brewing. Register for that Gyotaku Winter Workshop at cascadehead.org.
Again, we appreciate everybody joining us for today's special presentation. Chet Gardner, Charlotte, and of course John Peterson. And I still get off thinking about bees. Bee in your bonnet. Buzz, 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 Mr. Bee. That'll do to the doings. And again, we remind you and encourage you to like, share, so you, your family, and friends around the world and across the street can join us right here in the Double R Show. For Paul and Jenna, I am Double R. Have a happy day.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grawn.